This lesson is titled Complex Fractions. A complex fraction is a fraction in which the numerator, denominator, or both are themselves fractions. In other words, it's a fraction inside a fraction, or at least one fraction or more inside of another fraction. So in this example, we're going to simplify x over y plus 1 all over 1 minus y over x. See these little fractions that are inside the big fraction? I've got one on the top and one on the denominator here. That makes this a complex fraction because I've got fractions inside my fraction. The way to deal with this is to identify the little denominators here, x and y, and find the LCD, which in this case would be xy. Multiply everything in the top by xy, multiply everything in the bottom by xy. What that's going to do for us is clear out all the little fractions. So xy times x over y, the y is reduced, x times x is x squared. And xy times 1 is just xy. xy times 1 again is xy, minus xy times y over x. The x is reduced this time and leaves y times y, or y squared. Now we can try to factor that, take out an x in the numerator, take out a y in the denominator, and reduce if we can. In this case, there's nothing that's a common factor to reduce, so we're done right there. So the key to dealing with complex fractions is to use an LCD of the little fractions to multiply with to take out the complexity. Basically, we multiply to get rid of the little denominators that are running around everywhere and turn it into a non-complex fraction. So in this example, I have 1 over a plus h minus 1 over a all over 8. So I have two little fractions inside my denominator. I'm going to identify the LCD, a plus h times a, or a times a plus h, and multiply top and bottom, everything, every term by that. So a times a plus h times 1 over a plus h. The a plus h is where we reduce out, and I'll just get the a on the top. Here, 1 over a times a plus h. The a is where we reduce out and give me the a plus h. The denominator, don't multiply this together. Leave it all factored out. We're hoping something might reduce. So leave this all factored out. Never multiply the bottom together. Well, I shouldn't say never, but in general, don't multiply the bottom together. Here I have a minus a, and then that'll zero out, and I have a negative h. So I have negative h in the numerator. I have an h in the denominator. Those will reduce out. I get negative 1 over a times the quantity a plus h. And stop right there. That's totally reduced, totally simplified, and we're done. Here's one for you to try. I've got x over y all over z. Pause the video, give this a try. You can go ahead and rewind, fast forward, whatever you need to do to pace this lesson so that it works for you. I would multiply the top and bottom by y because that's my little denominator here that's getting in the way. So x over y times y is just going to be x, and then z times y is yz or zy. That can't reduce, can't go any farther. We're good right there. X over yz. Here's another one for you to try. It's a little nastier. So go ahead and give this a try. If you need a hint, press play for a little while and then press pause again after you understand it and see if you can finish it. What I would do first is factor this denominator so that I can see what's going on here. So if I factor that denominator, x squared plus 2x plus 1 is the same as x plus 1 quantity squared. So I can see that I have x plus 1 here and 2 of them here. So my common denominator is actually 2 of those, x plus 1 quantity squared. We're going to multiply everything by that, top and bottom. So x plus 1 quantity squared times x plus 1 will reduce out one of those and leave an x cubed times an x plus 1. And the denominator, both of them reduce out with both of these and just leave x. This x cubed here is a factor, can be reduced with this x down here, and leaves me only x squared times the quantity x plus 1. That's it. We're done. How'd you do on that one? Here's another example. We're going to try to simplify this mess. I've got 1 plus x squared to the half power minus x squared times the quantity 1 plus x squared to the negative half power all over 1 plus x squared. Do you see the complex fraction here? Remember, these negative powers actually represent fractions. We need to bring that down into the denominator under the x squared here, not all the way to the bottom, because it's not a negative for the whole top, because this is part of a difference here, right? So it's just this term where that's going to flip under a fraction bar right here with the x squared. So now we can see that I've got this denominator inside my big fraction. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by that LCD, 1 plus x squared to the half power. That's going to reduce here, but here it's going to distribute. So I have 1 plus x squared to the half power times 1 plus x squared to the half power. That's just 1 plus x squared. A half plus a half is 1. Here, minus, these reduce out and just leave me x squared, so that's in good shape. I have 1 plus x squared. I can think of this whole thing as to the 1 power times 1 plus x squared to the half power. If I add 1 and 1 half, I get 3 halves. In the numerator, I'm going to x squared minus x squared. That'll zero out, so I just get 1 in the numerator, and the denominator is not going to change much. Here's one for you to try. So go ahead and pause this. Again, if you need a hint, press play for a little while. When you start understanding again, press pause and see if you can finish it. Okay, the first thing I would do is rewrite this. I need to take care of this negative exponent. So that's going to flip under the x. This tells me take this to the denominator, take it across the fraction bar, not the big one, because it's not part of this whole difference. It's just part of this little term here. And then that gives me one denominator to give me an LCD. This is a 2/3 power. My font isn't looking perfect there, but that's a 2/3 power. When I multiply 3 times 1 plus x to the 1/3 times 1 plus x to the 2/3, we have like basis here. So we're going to add the powers. 1/3 plus 2/3 is 3/3 are just 1. So that gives me 3 times 1 plus x. When we multiply here, these so here we're going to distribute 3 times the quantity 1 plus x. That'll give me 3. That's this 3. That'll give me 3x, but I also have a minus x. That's 2x. So 2x plus 3 over x plus 1 to the 4/3. Where did the x plus 1 to the 4/3 come from? 1 plus x to the 2/3 times 1 plus x to the 2/3. Keep the 1 plus x, and then 2/3 plus 2/3 is 4/3. And we're done. This exam, or for this, that's our learning target for this lesson. I'll see you in class.